Alrighty, I reckon it's time for us to begin. Welcome to our stream. It's been a good time to have a chat with you guys about your stories and what's going on. So I hope you've tuned in. So we've got like 5 people here. That's not right. We've got 21 here, if the whole class. But we're going live right now. So hopefully, if you are in the chat right now, then we'll go there. I'll just let everyone know. Should be good. Alright, so what I thought to begin with very briefly is we're going to have a look at some of the survey results. So we have, I think, 14 out of like 21 responded, which has been really interesting. So let's have a quick look over here. I was quite fascinated that the Sticks and Stones was the least popular story. I guess we're talking about names. Naming is so huge for us. I don't think it'll resonate that much. But I do like how the very Asian ones, the 5 ways to disappoint your Vietnamese mother, perfect Chinese children, and the relative advantages of learning my language were quite popular choices or big influences. And a lot of the feedback was about being relatable. And I think that's something you should aim for when doing your stories, is if you can make it relatable, that's even better. Let's do it this way. Yeah, make it relatable. You don't this have to be like real. It can be fictional, but if you can make it relatable, then it's something which hits home a lot harder. And that's something I think we felt a lot when looking at some of our stories, was examining how they are relatable to us. So in terms of the sample story, it seems that there's been a close call between the Vietnamese mother's love, which is actually it's very similar to Perfect Chinese Children. It has the expectations and growing up in a family and then having that revelation at the end. And we have one of my favorite ones, the life-threatening dangers of Uber Eats. I like this one the most because, again, in my family, we have some pretty weird superstitions about delivered food. And just to, rub that in, my dad was waiting for me to order Uber Eats. I got Macca's. I got a free Big Mac. Apparently, I reached the gold level on my Uber Eats account, so I got a free Big Mac meal. So works for me there. That's Asian, isn't it? Right? If it's free. All right, and I got a few things about the story about how it's funny, it's relatable. Some of it has a quite deep engagement. So. And that's quite good too. I see you've got a generally average to below average idea of coming with your own ideas. Hopefully today's workshop will go through it a bit more cleanly. Because some ideas over here. The statement seems to be okay. Actually writing the piece seems challenging, so we'll work on that. I'm interested to see how most people will work on symbolism with a bit of interesting endings. And we've got Hamish over here. Alright, so that's our that is in fact what we're doing right now, and hopefully this will work fine. So let's set this up. Let me go from the very beginning and we'll talk through what we are doing. So let's get a full screen. Does that work for me? It does not work for me. Let me fix that up. So it's I always forget to set it up correctly. So let's you know what? I'll do it on Chrome. Chrome always works for me. Right. This is the nature of stream. This is what I do with normal streams. Like everything works till it doesn't. I'm sure the other classes watching are completely fine with this. Alright, so let's see how we're going. How's chat coming along here? We're looking pretty good. And just while we are waiting, what can we do here? I'll load this up. I'll set up Chrome to do it. Okay. Alright, all tech problems. You know how the streamers do, right? Yes! It's like I've done this before. So, let's talk through it. So again, if you have any questions, just ask in chat. I've got a low latency on, so there shouldn't be as much lag. I should be able to answer in chat here. But we'll also be doing our challenge on Meet a bit later. So if you've read ahead, then you know exactly what we're doing. I've got 40 people here. That means we've got either double the class or someone else coming in. So hello to you new Sensei fans. If you haven't yet subbed to the channel, make sure you sub right now and hit the like and subscribe button, the bell icon. It helps a lot for the channel. Make sure you tell your friends in other classes because it helps the channel grow. And like we said, what's been the one silver play button? Two silver play buttons. So let's enjoy ourselves, kick back, and have a good period 6. So this is going to be the workshop on how to make creative ideas. And we've got about 25 minutes, so let's do this. So, I want to start today. Well, the learning goal, by the way, of course, is to find inspiration for creative writing and turn simple ideas into masterpieces. I want to emphasize masterpieces, not disaster pieces. So, this is where I think most people have the most trouble, and that is in how do I even start the story? Like, how do I even come up with a good idea? We were talking before in my class how we've got really boring lives, it's really basic. But what is boring and basic to you is quite unique and different to other people. I want to quickly mention the story Exotic Result, which we saw in the book, where something as simple as a risol is something which is like a luxury to Tanvir, who's Bangladeshi. So understand that what you assume is normal, and we all do the same thing. As an Asian, like things like chopsticks and fried rice are basic, right? But to other people, they're like, well, I want to have that for lunch every single day. It's like, well, why? So these things are quite abnormal to other people. It's about perspective. So don't feel that you're limited because you're basic. Think about how you can use basic and make that sound special. So that's what we're working on at the moment. So as we are doing this, hey Will, nice to see you back here. All right, nice. All right, so before I do anything, I want to show this this trailer. So this is from the web series Fee and Me, and this is from Dinah in the Wind. So Dinah's the one, she's the mum, and Fee's the daughter. So we'll watch this. This is it's a parody of Vietnamese families, and I mentioned Dinah a lot because she's in the book, and we'll watch this together.
Fee Nguyen. I'm second generation Vietnamese Australian. I live in Springvale with my mum.
You can't park in a disabled area. Are you disabled?
Sorry, I don't speak English.
I know you speak English. You do this all the time.
And Uncle Ray.
Hey, Fee, when you cross the road, make sure you look left and right.
I'm in year 10 in Springvale High.
I'm choosing my VC subjects for next year.
Oh, yeah, choosing subject. You should pick special ed math.
Hey,
Hey, Danny.
While you're here, should we run some lines for the play?
What is subject here? Drama. What drama?
It's acting.
Alas! You want to jump up and down, roll on the floor? I don't want to sew and work hard so that you be an actor.
Mr. McPhail, my drama teacher.
I told you not to do drama. Stop putting idea in her head. You're a bad influence.
Okay.
Fee, you cannot have a boyfriend, huh? I am the only special person in your life. Do you know any famous Asian actor in the movie?
Yeah, the Hips Mum. My celebrity crush, Lucy Liu.
Wow. Wow. Remember, our family honor.
My mother can be unbearable,
Stop being inspirational. Stop saying she's good at acting. She can't make money to look after me.
annoying,
Be under control.
demanding.
You want to cut blood? No blood, Doctor, Fee, doctor.
But she loves me.
Sir, you're live. You're on mute.
All right, let's try that again. So Thanks, guys, for reminding me. All right, so we were saying before that the whole idea is that we're not really trying to create unique and original idea, but it's about taking what you know, something you're familiar with, and making it work. These are caricatures, stereotypes, exaggerations. So you make simple things work well. And like we said before, just because it's basic doesn't mean it isn't funny or entertaining or interesting. So I'll leave that there as I love how the whole chat is erupted on mute. Like nobody said anything until I was on mute, right? Alright. The other funny thing is if no one said anything, I wouldn't know of the whole stream. So I'm watching you guys now. Alright, so let's go back to our feed here, okay? So let's go with the main question, like we said before. Like, sir, I can't think of what to write about. That's quite normal for many people. So let's zip to some ideas. So, like I said before, you don't have to go that far out of the way to find something interesting. Use things which are close to you and you know well. I think a few people have been trying to be very fancy with doing very fantastical things like princes and queens and mafia. Like, if you can do it well, then sure. But if it's something which is so different to you and foreign to you, then it's gonna sound fake. And that's something I said to quite a few people in my class. It's like me writing. Actually, no, I'll share an anecdote. All this is sharing anecdotes and sharing stories. When I was in Japan, I was in year 10. I did a homestay in Japan, and there was one time where they asked me, "Tell us about Australia. What are Australian families like?" And I sat there, this is in Japanese by the way, so it's kind of like working the language barrier. And I'm sitting there in the lounge room and I'm thinking, I don't know. I don't know what an Aussie family is like. And we end up talking about Vietnamese families, which I didn't really know either, because I'm not first generation. So it's this real culture clash where I couldn't explain. So for me, if I were to write a novel or a short story about an Australian family, what am I going to do exactly? I'm going to talk about like footy and cricket and meat pies. I don't know what Aussie families do. Hamish, help me out here. So think about what you do know well and you can use. Like we said before, exaggerate the details. So imagine you telling your friend a story about what happened yesterday. You're obviously not going to tell the facts. You're going to exaggerate things. What people wear, how fat they were, what they smelled like. There are certain things which you are going to exaggerate to make it even funnier. That's what we all do when sharing stories, because it's not interesting when we just tell it as it is. It's really interesting when you tell your side, your perspective, because your side, we know it's going to be blown up. And like I said before, stick with simple ideas. Tell a simple idea, tell it well, and it's going to be much better than a complex narrative. One thing you have to keep in mind, guys, is that we are writing short stories, we're not writing novels. So the idea of having a large exposition and a whole universe and a made-up language, these things aren't needed. What you do need is something where you can work well. It's like a simple bit of Play-Doh. Just melt into a good shape and make a good, I don't know what you do with Play-Doh, apart from eating it, but you know, make a good shape with the Play-Doh that you have, rather than making complex clay sculptures. So that's what we want to achieve. A good short story is something you can enjoy and read in one sitting, rather than have to read episodically over several days. So, we're going to have a bit of a challenge here. Now, this is going to be my class in Meet right now. So, my class, if you're following chat in thing here, I need you to check in because we're going to do our challenge, okay? So, I'm going to do it via the feed on YouTube, but we're going to make sure that we get this right. So, this is the challenge. You can all do this, but if you're in my class, we're going to do it live right now, okay? So, this is the Reddit challenge. What you're going to do is you're going to find something in your room that you can share a story about. It could be anything in your room. It could be a photograph, could be a figurine, could be a plush toy, could be a footy, something in your room which has a story, okay? There has to be something within your room that you can reach that you can tell a story about. You're going to tell a story, but you must start the story with, "Oh my god!" Alright, I think Jess is very good at this. I'm not very good, but "oh my god" is your first line. And somehow, you've got to end with how it changes you. Alright? That's your 3 challenges. Find something in your room right now. My class, I'm doing it right now on Meet, okay? Find something in your room to share a story about. You must start with oh my god, and you must end with how it changed you. I'm going to give you 2 minutes from now to find something, and I'm going to call on people in my Meet to share their story right now. Give me 2 minutes. Go. Alright, that's 2 minutes, and my mic is actually on this time. Surprise, surprise. Okay, now before I call in certain people to help us out, it's only fair. It's only fair that I do it first, okay? So I prepared this earlier. Alright, so the relic that I've chosen that's in my room is actually on the wall behind me, okay? Where's my finger? Alright, so behind me are a bunch of certificates. They're not mine, sadly. They're my dad's. So, I wish I had my phone. It's over here somewhere, but I don't want to muck around my dad's desk. But the relic that I wanted to show you was a photograph of me when I was like 5 or 6 years old. Now, I was in a grey denim jacket. I was 5 years old. I was in great prep. And my dad at the time finished his university degree. So he did a Bachelor of Arts, which I think is that one right there. And then he did a Diploma of Secondary Education, which is over there. So that's right, yeah. So the photograph down here is the Bachelor of Arts at Vic Uni, and that's the grad dip at Vic Uni as well. So I remember it was this robe. So obviously when you graduate, as you probably know, you have graduation robes, and at the graduation ceremony, there's a point where I wore the robe when I was like 6 years old. I was like this small to scale, and I had the long robes and took a photo. And to me, to my dad, that's one of his proudest moments. Not like the fact that he graduated, but the fact that he put it on me as a bit of a symbol for me to succeed in my career, my studies, and my education. Obviously, a lot of pressure there for a 6-year-old, but like it was kind of like his dream to see me go to university. And my brother didn't go to university. He dropped out of Bradford College twice, so he didn't succeed there. It's all down to me. That led to I know, a very tough relationship with my father, because in high school, he would always be demanding of me. Like, he wouldn't really help me with things. He just expect me to do things. You probably can relate to it very well. And it led to the point where I didn't want him to go to my graduation for year 12, and he didn't come, and my fam didn't come, so I graduated alone. Yeah, I just felt so sour and sore about my experience in him being so like pushing but so hands off at the same time. It's like the whole meme where, you know, if you're not hearing my words, you can't be my best. And I think we had a big falling out then, which has changed since. But that was kind of what really hurt me when I was in year 12. Now we can be university, because year 12, who cares about year 12? I know you guys probably care about year 12. But like my parents, my father especially, didn't care about year 12. He cared about university. That was the real one he cared about, because year 12 is year 12. You get to university, you do your degree. That's what you're there for. That would guarantee your career. Year 12, you're fluffing around, get your score, get into university. So I did my 4 years in university. And I graduated, okay? Of course I did. So I remember when I was finishing uni, I wanted to do my dad proud, all right? And one thing I really wanted was to have a photograph exactly like that one there, okay? Particularly that one, but that one works too, all right? It's the serious photograph where you hold... Do I have a spare one here? My dad keeps like spare scrolls here. I can't see one over here right now. But imagine I'm holding like what the scroll, right, where you have your diploma. So I wanted a serious one where I would hold it seriously and have that serious doctor face. Be like that, because that's epic, right? I want to frame it like my dad did. I want to make sure I did him proud. So there were two problems. Firstly, I had a giant pimple on my nose. It was huge. It was the worst pimple I ever had. And on graduation day, I couldn't do anything about it. So I looked and felt horrible. Now, thankfully, they photoshopped it. No, it's a free service, so they touched it up, so it didn't look that bad. But it was like a huge, like the biggest like white pimple you could possibly imagine. The second problem was that when they took the photos, I don't know what's changed, right? Back then, they were serious. Like, you know, you can see the serious Asian guy, and it's like chest puffed out. It's like a doctor's photograph. It's so proud. And when I was doing it, I swear, they were trying to piss me off, because they were like, okay, smile. I'm serious, they were doing this, right? Like, there was no... I couldn't find a single serious photograph. It was just all poses. I swear there was one where like you had to stand there and lift your leg up and do what... So I know what people do, but it was just... It felt so ridiculous, because you're paying top dollar for these like overpriced photographs, and like there were 1,000 people doing this. But culturally, like I wanted a noble photograph, something which reflected my serious upbringing, then my father's legacy, and all I have was these silly photos. So I didn't buy much. I've got my set here. I haven't seen this for like 10 years or something. So let's see. I want to show a couple. That's me and my father. Alright, so I know I'm not really a smiling person. I like the serious look. My father is like serious Asian man. Like he is royal, and like I'm like this cheesy guy with a bad haircut. But that's one of them. By the way, pro tip, people, pro tip. Okay, if you have a family photograph, do not include your future ex. Just saying, you don't want to spend money on a big photograph with someone who isn't in your family. Okay, but this is my family photograph there. Okay, so that's my family photograph. And it was okay. These were the serious. I bought these because they were serious. But unfortunately, this was the only one I had which I wanted. So they removed the pimple, thankfully. But it wasn't like, well, the hat looks funny. Like, it didn't have the same nobility. Like, look at my father's photograph up there. And he's super serious. And I'm like, this cheesy grin. So that's what I was disappointed about. But, that's kind of how, to me, as much as these relics were like kind of like trivial things, how it affected me was that that early time when I was 5 years old and I wore my father's graduation robe, to me that was the first sign that education was that important, not just to me but to my family. I didn't recognize how much it was important until much later on when I graduated and I learned more about my family's history. But that connection with my father is what something was very strong with me. So the fact that he leaves these photos there, he doesn't know this, by the way, but it made me look up to him. There are other things I didn't look up to, that I didn't respect as much, but his education and his priority to to learn as much as he can. So my whole room is full of books. Seriously, look at the room. This isn't my room, by the way, but we've got books galore. This is only one room. We've got like 3 others like this. So that's what inspired me to be a teacher. It's what inspired me to to teach people and to be who I am. And that's why I am who I am. So bit of a funny story there, but those are the relics that we share. And that's the challenge basically. Okay, so it wasn't that bad. I mean, that's my personal story, but we managed to go through all the steps there. So we do have we had the relic, we had the oh my god. And did they say oh my god? I think I didn't say that, did I? Oh crap. Oh my god, there we go, it works. So and it ends with how it changed you. So there we go. That is the short version of my story. Okay? So now it's your turn. People in my class. I'm gonna call up a couple of people to share. It doesn't have to be long. You don't have to show your camera, but you can describe what you have with you, okay? You can just talk for like a minute if you want to, but I just want to hear your oh my god story with your relic. So, going live, I'm picking on Jess, because she has the best oh my god voice. Let's go. Alright, Jess, you are live. Go for it. Where's Jess here? Or did she run away? Oh, she's not here. That's sad. Oh, that's sad. Okay, I'm gonna grab someone else then. Alright, look at my list here. Let's see. Carl, I think you've got a good story. Carl. Yeah, beat the larger for now, then it's fine.
It was like the very first gift that my dad gave to me.
Alright, so let's repeat that. So on live there. So you're talking about your first game console. What was it? Sorry.
The PlayStation Portable.
Oh, the
old
PSP. Yep,
PSP.
gotcha.
Yeah. It was like the first ever gift that my dad gave me as like a gaming console, and how he got me into gaming. He was like a huge Tekken nerd, and he put Tekken on my PSP so we could play together, because we had 2, one for me and one for my brother.
Nice.
And I'm still a proud gamer today, but I don't play as much anymore since I'm doing a VCE subject, obviously.
That's
I
it.
had to focus on my studies.
Very nice. Well done. That's Carl. That's a good story. Nice and easy. Okay, next up. Alright, just let me down there. She ran away. Oh, Jess is here. Jess, you're up.
I feel so attacked.
Hey, Carl went first.
I was watching the stream and then I typed in the chat, I'm here, lol, and then you were just like, oh, she's not here. So I had to jump on this.
Alright, you're on now.
Wait, so I have to... what?
So, tell us your relic and tell us your oh my god story.
I don't really have an oh my god story.
What's your relic? What have you chosen?
A couple... well, 2 years ago, my dog that I was really close with passed away, so I keep her collar in my room with me.
Ah.
Because I feel really, like, connected with it. She was, like, a really grumpy dog, if that makes sense.
What kind of dog was it?
We got her from a shelter when she was 13. We don't actually know what breed she is.
Okay,
She
so
was
it
just
is
kind of
dog.
dog.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, dog. Oh man, whenever I tell anyone now that I had a dog in the past, they're just like, oh, was she tasty? Was she
Oh.
good? Was she nice? Was she yum?
Oh no.
Yeah, but either way, it's nice to have a memory of her, considering that like she didn't really stay with us for that long because she had a tumor, so she just kind of died.
Okay.
But
And
yeah,
how's
it's nice
that?
to have her.
How's that changed you? Like you say, it's nice, but how's it changed like the way you see things?
It makes me appreciate things more. Because the majority of the time I would like write off things. I'll be like, oh yeah, it's all right. But I just kind of realized that time was really finite. I just couldn't really like it took me a really long time to remember that I couldn't like have her in my life again. Like no dog would ever be the same other than like that dog, if that makes sense.
Okay, it makes sense. Yeah, it's really good. Okay, well, thanks for that. That's a good story to share. Like, it's good to know that these stories don't have to be like funny stories, but they can be like a really serious message as well. So thanks for that. That's really good. Okay, I'm gonna call up. Let's see who is. I reckon Arben has a good story. Arben. 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 If you don't tell a story, we'll just like fabricate a story for you. All right, I think Arben is currently like dead or AFK. All right, can we get Richard? Richard has to have a funny story. Richard.
Why? Yeah.
All right, what's your relic and what's your story?
Oh my god. Damn. So this is my hand sanitizer.
Yeah, go on.
The first hand sanitizer I've ever had, you know, and like even before I even got this, like my life was like really sad because all my time, my hands were like dirty, and like nothing could like help it, even water, but like water wasn't the best solution. So then, once my mom gave me this, it changed my life because now, like every day, I use it to like keep myself clean and hygiene from corona, you know, and like brings me so much tears, you know. Like,
You know, Richard, as basic as this is actually a good story because I swear there are so many times where our parents tell us to do things and we ignore them. Would you agree? Right? They tell us to like wash our hands or like don't do this, don't do that. And as we grew up together, that's superstitious. That's not true. But as we get older, we realize they're kind of right. So, you know, washing hands, hand sanitizer. It's a simple story, but I think you've got something that you can work with.
exactly. See.
Very nice, Richard. Thank you very much. All right. Guys, you can tune off to Meet now. We can finish the stream on the live stream. That makes sense. So thanks a lot, guys. And we'll finish it up in about 10 minutes, okay? All right. Well, that was interesting, wasn't it? Okay, so let's flip to our finishing touches. So we've got a few more minutes to go through. I've got quite a few things to go through, unfortunately, but this should be good for the last 15. So that's something which, again, anything you have around you can be used to generate a story. So here are some prompts you could possibly work with. So we have things like life events, embarrassing moments, personal milestones, arguments, misunderstandings, a personal crisis, happy moments, traumatic events, family snapshots, turning points in your life, celebrations, and more. So a lot of things that we talked about kind of focus on kind of one or more of these things. So, you know, kind of like we talked about Jess's dog, how she lost her dog, and it made her think about, you know, respecting what she has, not take things for granted. And we have like the happy moments with the family moments, like with Kyle's story with the PSP and playing Tekken. So these are kind of like that's a family snapshot. So these things are things you can draw upon. If you're really stuck on where to start with your story, then think about at least one of these things. A good story will have multiple things, but you can have one of these things as a starting point. Now I'm going to go through some of the things that we've talked about already. Now I mentioned Dine in the Wind, in Feed Me, and in 5 Ways to Disappoint Your Vietnamese Mother. So her memoir, her story, contains quite a few elements. She has the argument with her mum about her career, and there's a point in the story where she doesn't turn up to a show. So there's that kind of humiliation and shame which she shows in the web series. We have the embarrassing moment, in this case being caught with her boyfriend, her Chinese boyfriend of all things, as well as the personal crisis, in this case getting kicked out of home. So she has multiple elements that have a personal connection to her story. I'll bring Ando. By the way, if you haven't seen the clip I put on Classroom, you can search it up there. I'll put it on YouTube. Ando, Pictures of You. It's a very, very good, one of the best episodes of Pictures of You. So if you haven't seen it, this might not make sense, but there are multiple moments in his interview which he draws upon as inspiration for his own stories, and some funny, some more serious. So there are, of course, multiple photographs. That's the whole point of the show. He talks about funny moments of his dad. So he talks about his dad being an MC at a wedding, how he would kind of sing and be funny, but also talk about traumatic experiences, about how his dad was a hero when he saved the people on the boat and his younger brother being attacked by pirates. He goes back to more funny moments about how his brother, Kwado, he did the Delivery Day film, had to wear a dress when he came to Australia by accident. The personal crisis, serious moment, his dad leaving the family. There's a moment in Pictures of You, a very sad moment, where he tells the story about how his dad, he was an alcoholic, and he left his mum. He moved to Melbourne because they're in Sydney. He moved to Melbourne, and when Arn found out where he was, he drove down to Melbourne, and he found out his father remarried. He had a new wife, a younger wife, and he had a baby child. And he found out that his father had a brain tumor. So Arn kind of had this crisis where he wasn't sure whether he wanted to keep his dad in his life. And it turned out that his dad named his new son, his Arn's half brother, Arn, after him, to remind him about Arn. So that kind of brought him back to the family, and Arn wanted his dad to see his wife when they got married. So his dad got surgery and he became better. So he's still alive to this day, apparently. So that personal crisis is a strong element. And one of the last things talked about in the series is the milestone. So he won his first comedy competition, and because of his closeness with his family, the first thing he did was to pay for his sister's teeth. So again, these are all personal stories which relate to us in some way, and it's very strong. Oliver Fomavang. This is a story in Growing Up Asian. We didn't cover it. You might have read this. Again, some brief points here. It's mostly about food, and food stories are always good. If you're stuck on stories, think about food and what it represents. For Oliver, food is kind of like it's his pride, also his shame, because as a kid he always eats this. So when it's multicultural day at school, he brings Thai food, and it's boring. So he has this argument with his teacher. And he brings like the super spicy sauce, and he puts it in the teacher's food, and they're like choking. They're like, so these like white people, like, you know, trying to eat super spicy food, and it's overkill. And it turns out it's quite ashamed of it, because like they're kind of not enjoying it. He's been a bit of a dickhead. And they actually give him Aussie food. They gave him like chips and I think like kangaroo steak or something, and he doesn't really enjoy it because he's just done something so bad, and it's kind of embarrassed him. And he finished it off. His own bag was like soaked with chili sauce when he walked home, and the kind of that subversion. So again, all these things, you know, all these conflicts, arguments, turning points, they're all part of the story and the narrative. So, in terms of where we're at, in terms of our story points, some main tips for you if you have a good idea in terms of where you're sitting with your inspiration, your relic or whatever. Don't feel you have to write a whole story. This is not what we're trying to do here. What you should be doing is trying to get us into the good part as soon as possible. So drop the reader into the story and don't waste time trying to set it up. Like, you're not writing a novel, so don't write about your life story. Don't write about how your mum was born in 1954 in Hanoi, and then she worked in a jewelry factory, and then she went on a boat to Malaysia, and then she went to Malaysia to Singapore, Singapore to Indonesia, and Indonesia, and so on. Like, a lot of people write these dot point summaries of a life story, and we're not really going for that. We're going for something which is a bit more identifiable and relatable. So think about specific moments rather than entire biographies or autobiographies. When you write the story, and some of us are having trouble with this, think about how you would show the story as a friend, okay? Someone who knows something about you, but not everything about you. So you don't have to explain every single thing, but enough for us to fill in the gaps. Because if you talk about, like, your brother, we don't have to know everything about your brother. We know enough to make it work. So think about how you tell the story, and we get it. So help us understand it, but don't over-explain things. And I think some of us write stories like essays. I know you can probably relate to it right away, but think about how you can just show us, but don't try to ruin it for us. So let the surprise hit us. Let us enjoy the feels. If it's a sad story, let it hit home. If it's a funny story, make us laugh. But don't try to explain the joke. Don't try to soften the blow. So go for strong emotions and make it work. Okay? Alright, so a couple of things here. The last major thing I want to talk about is integrating the themes. As we said before, the theme of the story is that those around us make us who we are, or something like that. Okay, so I've chosen this picture because a lot of us think it's like a cherry on top. You write the entire story, and then you go, oh, and those around us make us who we are. The end. That's lame. That sucks, okay? It's like you're writing a whole different story and you forgot the prompt and then you just include it at the very end. So don't end on that line, alright? That's the cheap way to end the story, that it just ruins the whole thing. So at the same time, don't ignore it. There are plenty of times where people they write the entire story and they've just ignored the prompt. So it's a good story, but we're marking it and we go, what's it got to do with growing up Asian? What's it got to do with being influenced by people around us? So make sure whatever story you have that's juicy and funny and really good actually shows us something about the prompt. So the recommendation here is that you integrate it, alright? Let the theme resonate through the story. Don't just have one chocolate covered cherry on top, have the whole thing full of chocolate syrup. Okay, set it up at the beginning and let it hit hard at the end. We'll talk more about structure later on next time, perhaps in our next workshop, but just don't think too hard about forcing it, but your story should be inspired by that thing about connecting to changing who we are, forming identities, and so on. The last part, I'll let you kind of read by yourself because we are reaching the end here. We've gone through statement of intention already. FLAP C is an acronym because we always give good acronyms. So think about the way you're writing this. It can be a letter, a poem in some cases. They're pretty extreme, but you can do that. A memoir, a reflection. Most of you are writing short stories. You might have seen in things like the Uber Eats story, it's kind of like a note on a phone. So there are kind of particular ways you can write things and make it particularly funny or relevant or unique. The style, think about how you describe things, think about how formal you want to be. It might be a casual friend story, it might be something else, but think about the mood you want to play with. It might be kind of angsty, it might be anxious, it might be proud. So think about how you convey how you feel about things. Also, whether you use foreign languages. I mean, many of us speak a different language, and if you're writing about our culture, it may be normal to actually use foreign words, whether you use it in English or not. And to tie into that, there's also things about who you have in mind. There is no such thing as a general audience. Okay, when we tell stories, we normally imagine a particular person. So if I'm sharing like a family story, like an Asian family story, if I'm talking to another Asian, we get it, right? If I'm talking to you, like talk about how my mum bought this whole box of mee hang, for $10, and it's like 50 guy, then I don't have to translate or explain what mee hang is. Most of us know what it is at home. We eat it at home. It's the best noodle. Forget about like shin cup, alright? This is the OG noodle. So when we get it, we get it. But if I'm talking to somebody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, if I'm talking like, Hamish, right? I have to explain that these are onion noodles, that, Asians love to buy things on bargain sales and in bulk. So I have to explain more things to a foreign or an Australian audience, whereas these stories will make sense assuming that it's the same audience. So who I have in mind or who I'm talking to will affect how I present. Crap. I think that's my time up there. And context, or the purpose. What's the message at the end? So what's the moral of the story? What do we get out of this? And finally, context. Which stories in the anthology does it connect to you, and how? There's an example of a pretty good statement of intention over here. I'll let you read it by yourself, but that basically concludes my presentation. So that's it from me. We are right on time, like good teachers should be. So I hope that helps a lot. I know many of you watch this from other classes as well. Thanks to my class for sharing the funny stories. I know some of you kind of dodging that bullet going, phew, wasn't me. Especially you, Arben. But I hope you enjoyed that. That was a fun stream. And of course, if you have any further questions, ask me. I'm a teacher. If you're watching this from other classes, ask your teacher. We'll touch base later on, and maybe do more workshops and videos where we can talk through some of the things you're having trouble with, and hopefully it helps a lot. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed yourself. Stay safe where you are. Enjoy the rest of your day. It's nice and warm and sunny, so make some exercise, go for a walk. Enjoy yourself, and hopefully we'll see you next time.